Imagine for a second that you're objectively a loser in life. You're 33 years old, overweight, no job, and you are hopelessly in love with your only friend in the world's fiance. Now imagine that you're given a second chance at life. By some miracle, the moment before your death, you wake up in your 6-year-old body, but you retain all of the memories and experience that you have as a 33-year-old man, and you're given a chance to do it all over again. And you royally screw it up because you're human garbage that just can't help themselves. Welcome to the story of Umareru Kachi, a tale of a man who is objectively the worst no matter what timeline he is in, and the star of guaranteed the most disturbing and wild isekai ever to meet pen and paper to date. So strap in, let's explore together the tale of Mukai Kazuya, the most garbage protagonist to ever exist. As mentioned earlier, Mukai Kazuya is a 33-year-old piece of otaku filth. He's jobless, lives in a filthy apartment, attracted to girls of the younger variety, and is deadly envious of his friend Kyo, who married their childhood friend Anna, and they are now expecting a child. After feigning happiness at the news of his friend's pregnancy, Kazuya gets absolutely hammered and finds himself at his old elementary school, where he reminisces on good times and how Kyo stole his happiness from him by entering into a relationship with Anna. Kazuya stumbles his way to a classroom and finds a 6th grade girl's gym bag. A patrolling security guard catches a butt-ass naked Kazuya taking a sniff of the bathing suit and chases him to the roof. Kazuya quickly realizes that any lie he tells the cop will quickly be shot down, so after thinking about all the shame and ridicule he will face upon arrest, he decides to jump off the building. Good riddance. But before he hits the ground and explodes, Kazuya has flashbacks to elementary school and thinks about what he could do with his life if he could go all over again. If he could tell Anna how he feels, maybe he wouldn't end up the pathetic loser he is today. After a short time, Kazuya is able to open his eyes, but weirdly enough, in front of him, he is greeted by who else but his grade school classmates and friends. They tell Kazuya that he collapsed while they were playing, and they were really worried about him. Upon checking his surroundings, Kazuya begins to realize that he was somehow transported back to his 6th grade self, but he has retained the knowledge and mindset of his 33-year-old self. Kazuya is in absolute disbelief. This is the chance he has always wanted, to go back in time and undo the mistakes of his past. He can finally tell Anna his true feelings and live the life he deserved to have before his friend Kyo ruined everything. But a clue as to the reality of Mukai's situation and what he really is given to us shortly after his miraculous transformation. See, shortly after returning to his 6th grade self, Kazuya is confronted by his grade school bully, Shinya. In his head, Kazuya is excited for the opportunity to show Shinya his place and give him the ass whooping 6th grade Mukai was never able to do. But something's wrong. Kazuya wants to curse or swing at Shinya, but the only thing that comes out of his mouth is a hushed sorry and a lowered head. Shinya calls Kazuya a good boy for knowing his place and runs off, leaving the stunned Kazuya to wonder what happened. And here lies the brilliance of Umareru Kachi. See, the reality is that no matter what time period Kazuya loops to, or how far he escapes, he cannot outrun himself and the fact that he is a grade A bona fide, reprehensible coward, an abject piece of human filth. Those who have not read the story may think that I am being harsh, but believe me when I say that there has never been a more hateable MC in all of fiction. This story gets absolutely freaking bananas. So I know that there's a lot of manga and other stories out there that say they have the most reprehensible protagonist in the world, but when I tell you that Mukai Kazuya is literally the most despicable human being that I've ever seen in fiction, you're going to have no choice but to agree with me if you check this manga out. He is a 33-year-old man in a 6th grader's body, and he absolutely takes advantage of that. He emotionally manipulates the other kid, and when we talked about him being attracted to girls of questionable age, that reality comes into play in this story, and it's absolutely the worst. There's so many things that happen in this story where Kazuya uses his knowledge of future events to hurt and even kill others, and eventually he gets to the point where he begins obsessing over Anna, and it destroys any semblance of happiness for both himself and those around him, but he absolutely deserves everything that's coming to him. I don't want to spoil too much more than this because I want you guys to really go in and take a look at this story for yourselves. But I promise you, if you read this, you are not going to be disappointed. It is 21 chapters and it is an absolutely wild ass ride that you are not going to regret. But anyway, let's get back on track. Author Nagase Yosuke has encapsulated beautifully the ugliness that hides within a human when they are unable to take personal responsibility for their problems and externalize every issue occurring in their lives. Rarely does Kazuya take a moment to introspect and explore the possibility that his lackluster life and personal unhappiness are the results of individual choices and internal insecurities. And even when he does, these thoughts are quickly obliterated in place of self-loathing and cursing the people around him for getting lucky, unlike him, who clearly has been cursed or forsaken by God and has no chance to succeed. Nagase has captured the essence of a human being who has taken the easy way out of life. Rather than seeking the truth and making inroads to change his circumstances, which requires work and maturity, Kazuya has resigned himself to excuses and complaining and wallowing in self-pity, which allows him to spend his time and mental energy on blaming the outside world rather than actually examining his own flaws and growing as a person. This reality culminates in a fantastic climax where Kazuya's plans for the future are forever changed by quite literally a product of his own creation. Through the vessel of Kazuya, the author also shows how those ruled by lust can and often will sabotage their own happiness and success. It is no exaggeration to state that nearly everything Kazuya does is motivated by his libido. He obsesses over his virginity, and his anger, coupled with his insecurity over it, causes damn near every single issue that arises in his life. Kazuya's downfall is a fantastic meditation on the circumstances of many modern men today, whose every move is motivated by the fantasy of sexual conquest, and would rather write off women as shallow, gold-digging monsters than reflect on themselves and identify what it is about them personally that makes them so reprehensible to the opposite sex. I also appreciated Nagase's realistic representation of the absolute terror that is implanted in a person who is a victim of sexual assault. So many manga will have a man or woman go through absolutely heinous circumstances of abuse, and in the next panel, we see the victim engaging in regular conversation or going about their day as if everything is perfectly normal and fine. Umareru Kachi showcases in brutal realism the fundamental change that occurs in a person who has been violated in the most personal of ways, and the mental ramifications and emotional turmoil inflicted as a result. It also shows how different individuals cope with this trauma, with some putting on a false smile in hopes of retaining some sense of normalcy following the event, and some falling into a deep, voided depression where no light seems to shine through at all. The act of dehumanizing someone in this way is one of the most harmful wounds that one can inflict on another psyche, and it is refreshing to see a story in this medium not gloss over that fact. I don't want to spoil this insane-ass story because I think it is one that's extremely worth reading, even if only as a PSA of the ills of being ruled by your genitals and the evils that we can do when one denies personal responsibility. Kazuya leaves a trail of broken relationships, broken minds, and broken bodies in his wake, and the tale of retribution against them is one that you're not going to want to miss. See you guys next time.